You become what you believe. Nothing less, nothing more. That is not a suggestion. It is not a poetic phrase. It is the eternal law of life itself. Everything you see around you, from the skyscrapers that pierce the clouds to the devices that connect billions across the globe, was first born as a thought in the invisible workshop of the mind. And just like those giants of creation, your destiny waits, bound and chained by the limits of your own belief. Belief is the architect of reality. It is the quiet force that determines whether you rise to greatness or sink into mediocrity. Most people spend their lives looking outward, chasing the shadows of other men's dreams, measuring themselves by the rulers of doubt, and dying with their music still trapped inside them. But the ones who change the world, those rare few whose names echo through history, are the ones who believed with such intensity that the world itself had no choice but to bend to their vision. Look at Thomas Edison, a boy labeled too slow by his teachers. The world called him unteachable, yet his mother believed in him. And more importantly, he learned to believe in himself. That belief carried him through 10,000 failed experiments before the electric light finally came alive. 10,000 failures would have crushed the average soul, but Edison's belief became armor. And when light broke the darkness, it wasn't just an invention. It was proof that the human mind, guided by faith, can command fire from the void. Think of Henry Ford, a farm boy who dared to imagine that every household, not just the wealthy, could own an automobile. People laughed in his face. Experts said the idea was impossible. Yet Ford's belief was relentless. He turned ridicule into fuel, and before long, he transformed the way mankind moved across the earth. He didn't just build cars, he built belief into steel. And consider Abraham Lincoln, born in a log cabin, plagued by defeats in politics, crushed by personal tragedy, haunted by doubt. Yet his belief in a higher purpose, his unshakable conviction that a divided nation could be healed, led him to the highest office in the land. Without wealth, without privilege, with little more than grit and belief, he etched his name into eternity as the leader who preserved a union. You see, every human being has within them this same power, but most will never use it because they bow to doubt, they surrender to fear, and they settle for the chains of small thinking. They look at their circumstances and confuse them for destiny. But circumstances are clay, soft, pliable, waiting to be shaped by the potter's hands. And the potter is always belief. If you believe you are average, you will live and die average. If you believe wealth is only for the lucky, you will always watch from the outside as fortune passes you by. If you believe the mountain is too high, you will stop climbing halfway and live your life in the valley. But if you dare to believe that you are destined for greatness, if you dare to believe that abundance belongs to you, if you dare to believe that your voice matters, then no obstacle, no criticism, no rejection will ever be enough to chain you. Belief is not wishful thinking. It is not hope without action. It is a burning conviction that transforms thoughts into deeds and deeds into destiny. Napoleon Hill called it a burning desire, the starting point of all achievement. Without it, talent is wasted. Without it, opportunity is invisible. Without it, life becomes a slow surrender to mediocrity. But with belief, true, unshakable belief, you awaken a force that cannot be measured by logic alone. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to hear the whispers of possibility when others are deafened by doubt. You begin to move as if the outcome is already decided in your favor. And the universe, like a mirror, reflects back the image you hold of yourself. So I ask you, what do you believe about you? Not what your parents told you. Not what society stamped on you. Not what your failures whispered in the night. I am asking, what do you truly believe about yourself in the silent places of your soul? Because that belief will write the script of your life. That belief will build your fortune or your prison. That belief will make you or break you. You can pretend all you want. You can wear masks and speak words of confidence. But in the hidden chambers of your heart, your true belief will expose itself in every action, every decision, every hesitation. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage your own success. If you believe you are destined for more, you will endure storms that break lesser men. You become what you believe, nothing less, nothing more. And the question that defines your life is, do you believe enough to fight for the vision you've been given? Do you believe enough to walk through failure as if it were only a shadow on the path? Do you believe enough to rise again when the world knocks you down? Because belief alone is not enough. You must live it, breathe it, act upon it, discipline it, and give it shape through relentless effort. The world does not reward half-hearted convictions. It crowns those who are willing to stand alone in the darkness, with nothing but belief as their torch. Belief without discipline is like a fire without fuel, bright for a moment, then gone with the wind. The men and women who built empires did not simply believe. They married that belief with daily, deliberate action. They rose before the sun, not because it was easy, but because they refused to let their vision slip into the abyss of procrastination. Discipline is the backbone of belief. It is the daily hammer that forges dreams into steel. You say you believe you are destined for greatness? Then prove it in the small hours of the morning, when no one is watching, when excuses whisper louder than ambition. You say you believe abundance is your birthright. Then let your calendar, your habits, your sacrifices be the evidence. Belief without discipline is fantasy. Belief with discipline is destiny. Think of Andrew Carnegie, the Scottish immigrant who arrived in America with nothing but a burning desire to rise. He believed in a life far larger than his beginnings, and he fed that belief with unrelenting discipline. He read books by candlelight after long hours of labor. He studied business. He studied people. He studied opportunity. Step by step, belief turned into mastery, and mastery into fortune. Carnegie did not inherit wealth. He inherited belief, and that inheritance outperformed every fortune handed down by blood. Discipline is what makes belief visible. It is the handwriting of your conviction written across the canvas of your days. Too many cry out for success, but live as slaves to distraction. They declare their hunger for greatness, yet bow down to comfort, to doubt, to the shallow pleasures of the moment. They want the crown without the weight of it pressing on their heads. But the crown of success is heavy. It demands a spine built of discipline and a heart forged in fire. And still, discipline is not enough without clarity. You must know where your belief is pointing you. A sailor can believe in the strength of his ship, but if he sails without a destination, the ocean will devour him. Clarity of purpose is the compass of belief. Without it, you wander in circles, mistaking movement for progress. Clarity begins with the question, why? Why are you here? Why do you wake each morning? Why does your dream matter enough to fight for? Men and women who change the world are not guided by shallow desires. They are driven by burning whys that outlive them. Walt Disney believed not just in creating cartoons. He believed in building a kingdom where imagination had no limits. His why was so clear, so consuming, that even bankruptcy and ridicule could not erase it. That is the power of clarity, when the dream is bigger than the doubt. But clarity demands honesty. You must strip away the masks, the lies you've told yourself, the excuses dressed as reasons. What do you really want? Wealth without guilt, success without apology, influence without fear? Then name it, define it, see it in your mind until it burns like fire behind your eyes. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But the mind cannot conceive fog, it must conceive vision." Once clarity is born, belief grows teeth. It bites into obstacles, it claws through rejection, it devours the word impossible. But clarity also brings responsibility. When you know your direction, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You cannot drift aimlessly, blaming circumstances, when your compass points to your true north. And here lies the next truth: belief will test you. The moment you declare you believe in yourself, life will rise like a storm to ask, do you really? The winds of failure will howl. The rain of rejection will drench you. The lightning of doubt will strike at your heart. And this is no accident. It is the refining fire that separates the dreamers from the doers. When Edison failed 1,000 times, the world laughed. But his belief answered back, "I have not failed. I have found 1,000 ways that do not work." When Lincoln lost election after election, his belief whispered, "Your destiny is larger than this moment." When Ford's first company collapsed, when Disney was fired for lacking imagination, when countless others stumbled on their way to greatness. The storm tested them, but belief carried them. So the question is not, will you face obstacles? The question is, will your belief outlast them? Will you keep walking when the world calls you insane? Will you keep climbing when your hands bleed and your legs shake? Will you keep building when no one applauds, when no one sees, when the only evidence of your dream is the fire in your soul? Because belief without resilience dies in the storm, but belief fortified by resilience becomes unbreakable. It turns setbacks into stepping stones, criticism into fuel, rejection into redirection. It teaches you that every defeat carries within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. This is the law that has governed every titan of history. The mind that refuses to break will always find a way to bend reality in its favor. Life will bow to the one who believes long enough, strong enough, and deep enough to outlast a storm. And yet, belief is not selfish. The highest form of belief expands beyond self-interest into service. The greatest men and women did not only believe in their own rise, they believed in lifting others. Carnegie believed in libraries. Ford believed in mobility. Lincoln believed in unity. Disney believed in wonder. Their belief created wealth, yes, but their legacy was born from service. When your belief serves a purpose larger than your ego, it gains a force that cannot be contained. It becomes a movement. It becomes a revolution. It becomes immortal. Your belief is the soil, but vision is the seed. Without vision, belief has nothing to grow. The wealth you desire, the success you crave, the freedom you long for, they do not exist until you see them in the theater of your mind. Every invention, every empire, every revolution was first projected on the inner screen of imagination before it walked in the world of men. Close your eyes for a moment and ask, what do I see? Do you see yourself chained to the life you've always known? Or do you see yourself breaking free, rising higher, building something extraordinary? The quality of your vision determines the size of your future. Small vision, small life. Bold vision, bold destiny. Napoleon Hill called imagination the workshop of the mind. And in that workshop, you are both the architect and the laborer. Edison saw light when the world only knew darkness. The Wright brothers saw flight when the world swore man was bound to earth. Jobs and Wozniak saw a personal computer on every desk when the world laughed at the idea. These men believed because they first saw. And once a vision is etched deep into belief, the world itself becomes a tool for its creation. But vision alone is fragile unless guarded by persistence. The universe is not quick to hand out its treasures. It demands proof of your desire. It demands that you keep showing up, keep chiseling at the stone, keep walking through the desert long after your throat is dry. Persistence is belief in motion. It is the daily decision that says, I will not stop until the vision is real. Consider Colonel Sanders, a man who, at the age of 65, with nothing but a recipe and belief, knocked on over 1,000 doors before someone finally believed in him. Most men would have quit long before. But Sanders understood the law. Persistence transforms rejection into reward. Today, millions know his name, not because of luck, but because of relentless belief backed by persistence. So what about you? Do you persist when doors slam shut? Or do you retreat and call it fate? Do you keep sowing when the harvest delays? Or do you let weeds of doubt choke your dream? Understand this. The world does not give crowns to those who knock once. It opens only for those who keep pounding until the hinges break. Yet even persistence must be refined by adaptability. Belief is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent resilience. Life will not always unfold as you imagined. Plans will fail. Strategies will crumble. Allies will betray. But if your belief is rooted in your vision, you will adapt without surrendering. You will bend without breaking. Henry Ford once said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. That is adaptability. It is not the abandonment of belief, but the recalibration of the path. It is the warrior adjusting his shield while never lowering his sword. Adaptability requires humility. It demands that you learn from every setback, that you study every defeat, that you remain a student even as you lead. The ones who rise are those who treat life as a master teacher. They ask not why me, but what is this teaching me? They extract wisdom from pain, strategy from loss, and strength from failure. Belief, vision, persistence, adaptability, these are the foundations. But there is one more element that transforms good into great, and that is gratitude. Gratitude may sound soft in a world obsessed with power, but it is the fuel that keeps the engine of belief running. A heart hardened by ingratitude will eventually suffocate its own fire. Gratitude keeps you aware of how far you've come. It sharpens your eyes to opportunities already within reach. It aligns you with abundance instead of scarcity. The man who is grateful for little prepares himself to receive more. The man who despises his beginnings will curse his future as well. Think of Oprah Winfrey, who rose from poverty and hardship to become one of the most influential women on earth. She has spoken often of gratitude as the cornerstone of her success. Despite the trials of her youth, she chose to see blessings in small victories, and that belief multiplied her influence. Gratitude does not weaken ambition. It strengthens it by reminding you that you are already living inside a miracle. But gratitude alone does not exempt you from struggle. It only gives you the strength to endure it with dignity. And make no mistake, struggle is not a punishment. It is a forging process. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Steel is strengthened by fire. Giants are carved in storms. You will not rise without struggle. But if you believe deeply enough, the struggle will not destroy you. It will define you. And here lies the ultimate truth. Belief is not about convincing the world. It is about convincing yourself. The moment you believe without question, the world follows. It may resist at first. It may laugh. It may ridicule. But eventually it will align with the strength of your inner conviction. So ask yourself, what do you believe? Do you believe in scarcity? Or do you believe in abundance? Do you believe you are small? Or do you believe you are powerful beyond measure? Do you believe your future is dictated by your past? Or do you believe every sunrise offers a new beginning? Because the answer will not just shape your thoughts, it will sculpt your destiny. You become what you believe. Nothing less. Nothing more. Faith is the bridge between belief and reality. Without faith, belief remains a whisper in the dark, a fragile idea tossed about by the winds of doubt. But when belief hardens into faith, unyielding, immovable, absolute, it becomes the force that reshapes mountains, rewrites destinies, and bends reality itself to your will. Faith is not blind hope. Faith is not naive optimism. Faith is the unshakable conviction that what you see in your mind will one day stand before you in flesh and stone. It is knowing, not wishing. It is certainty, not chance. And it is this certainty that every giant of history carried into battle against the impossible. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and declared, "I have a dream." The world he described did not yet exist. Segregation still reigned, hatred still burned, injustice still ruled. But he spoke as if the dream was already alive, because his faith refused to acknowledge the chains of the present. And though he did not live to see the full harvest, his faith planted seeds that continued to bear fruit for generations. Faith does not deny reality, it transcends it. When everything around you screams defeat, faith whispers victory. When your bank account is empty, faith says abundance is near. When the doctor's report is grim, faith says healing is possible. When the critics mock you, faith says their words are powerless against your destiny. But here is the secret. Faith is built. It does not arrive as a gift. It is forged through action, discipline, and persistence. Every time you keep going when the world tells you to quit, your faith grows stronger. Every time you risk failure for the sake of your vision, your faith deepens. Every time you speak life into your dream instead of death, your faith sharpens. Faith feeds on action. A farmer does not stare at barren soil and say, "I believe crops will come." He plants. He waters. He labors. And because of his action, his faith has ground to stand on. So it is with you. Faith must be partnered with relentless movement. Without action, faith decays into fantasy. And yet, faith requires patience. The oak tree does not rise overnight. The masterpiece is not painted in a single stroke. The fortune is not built in a week. Too many abandon their vision because the harvest delays. They confuse waiting with failure. But hear this. Faith is proven not in speed, but in endurance. Can you keep walking when the path stretches longer than expected? Can you keep believing when the world grows silent and your prayers echo back unanswered? Faith is also contagious. Surround yourself with men and women of small belief, and your fire will dim. Surround yourself with visionaries, with warriors of faith, and your fire will roar into an inferno. Napoleon Hill himself immersed in the minds of the great, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, so that his own belief could be stretched beyond limits. You too must choose your company with care, for faith is strengthened by those who see possibility where others see nothing. But even faith demands courage. Belief is tested in silence. Faith is tested in action. You can believe in greatness. You can even have faith in it. But unless you act boldly, the world will never see it. Courage is faith in motion. It is walking into the unknown with nothing but conviction as your shield. Think of explorers who sailed beyond the edge of maps, of entrepreneurs who invested everything in a dream, of inventors who risked ridicule to birth new realities. They were not fearless. They acted despite fear. They carried faith like a sword, and courage was the hand that swung it. And here is where resilience enters. Because no matter how strong your belief, no matter how fierce your faith, you will be struck down. Life will test your courage with storms, betrayals, losses, and failures. The world has no mercy for the weak of heart. But resilience, unyielding, relentless resilience, is what lifts you after the fall. Resilience is the art of standing back up with stronger bones. It is failure turned into fuel. It is rejection turned into redirection. It is pain transmuted into power. The resilient do not ask, why me? They ask, what now? Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than most men ever attempt. He faced failure in business, tragedy in family, mockery in politics. And yet his belief, his faith, his resilience carried him to the White House, where he etched his name among immortals. He did not escape storms. He became the storm. The truth is, resilience is the ultimate proof of belief. Anyone can believe when skies are clear. Anyone can speak faith when the winds are calm. But only the resilient believe when the storm rages. Only the resilient keep walking when the path is broken. Only the resilient rise from ashes and declare, this is not my end. It is my beginning. So I ask you now, what is your storm? What is the mountain that seems immovable? The valley that feels endless? The wound that feels unhealable? Will you allow it to define you? Or will you rise and define it? Because this is the law written across eternity. You become what you believe. If you believe the storm will destroy you, it will. If you believe the storm will refine you, it will. If you believe your destiny ends in defeat, it will. If you believe your destiny ends in triumph, it will. The choice has always been yours. Every breakthrough in human history began with a belief so strong that it reshaped the course of destiny. The Wright brothers believed human beings could fly when the world mocked the idea. Andrew Carnegie believed he could transform steel into an empire, while others saw only iron and fire. Thomas Edison believed light could be captured and tamed inside glass long before cities abandoned candles. These men did not wait for proof. They became the proof. Their belief was not passive hope. It was a blazing conviction that bent reality to their will. But here is the tragedy that most people live with. They spend their lives believing in their limits instead of their potential. They walk around carrying invisible cages made of doubt, fear, and other people's opinions. They believe money is scarce, so it runs from them. They believe success is for the lucky, so it never finds them. They believe the world is against them, so every door appears closed. And yet, the truth has been here all along. Your life expands only as far as your belief dares to stretch. If you believe you are powerless, you will never act with strength. If you believe opportunity belongs to others, you will never see it when it stands at your own door. If you believe the world is unfair, you will unconsciously sabotage your own progress. Your external world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back the exact shape of your inner world. Change the belief, and the reflection transforms. Consider the stories of people who had nothing and created everything. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because they said he lacked imagination. Imagine that. The very man who would build castles, characters, and entire worlds was once told he had no creativity. If he had believed them, there would be no Disney empire, no legacy of wonder. But he refused to accept the limits imposed by others. His belief was so enormous, so untouchable, that failure became fuel. Belief is not an accessory, it is the blueprint. It is the architect of your reality. Every dollar you will earn, every relationship you will build, every mountain you will climb begins in the invisible soil of belief. When Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve," he was not writing poetry. He was documenting a law as real as gravity. You don't argue with gravity, you align with it. And the law of belief works the same way. But belief alone is not enough if it is shallow, if it is fragile. Belief must be forged in discipline, reinforced with daily action, protected from the termites of doubt. It is easy to believe when the sun is shining, but true mastery comes when the storms arrive. When bills pile up, when people laugh, when doors close, when progress slows. That is when belief is tested, and that is when those who refuse to bend rise above the crowd. Your mind will always serve the belief. You feed it most consistently. Feed it fear, and you will see danger in every shadow. Feed it courage, and you will find strength in every challenge. Feed it lack, and you will constantly chase survival. Feed it abundance, and opportunities will multiply around you. The soil is neutral, the seed decides the harvest. So the question you must face is not, what do I want? But, what do I truly believe? Because if belief is absent, desire is powerless. You can say you want wealth, but if deep down you believe money corrupts, you will unconsciously repel it. You can say you want love, but if you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage it. You can say you want greatness, but if you believe greatness belongs to others, you will live small. Life cannot give you what you contradict with your own mind. The greatest prison is not built with walls or bars. It is built with unbelief. The greatest freedom is not found in possessions or status. It is found in the unshakable conviction that you are capable of creating, becoming, and achieving. The moment you alter your belief, you alter your destiny. And so I ask you now, with urgency and with truth, what do you believe about yourself? Because you become what you believe. Nothing less, nothing more.